better known to some as General Rochambeau, was born on July 1st, 1725. So today he would have been his 300th birthday. And like great French wine, he is aging gracefully, at least as far as the Society of Cincinnati is concerned. And with his spirit in mind, we gather to celebrate his life and the alliance that he helped found, the alliance between America and France that continues to be a treasure for some 250 years of friendship and amity. It's a pleasure to begin this evening with song from the choir of the French Embassy. And some might say, who knew the choir of the French Embassy? Well, we do. This is a wonderful group that was established in 2016, and it's composed of passionate members of the embassy staff who love to sing together and share beautiful moments in music. There also include a few singers from the German Embassy and the World Bank. Led by Simon Charette, the choir conductor and founder of Opéra Comique de Washington, they sing French, English, German, Spanish, and yes, even American songs. They touch gospel to classics and even hit the unforgettable moments of international pop, or can preside over official ceremonies. In fact, this French Embassy choir has regularly been a part of commemorative events and celebratory occasions between the United States and France, which includes activities memorializing D-Day, Lafayette celebrations. We all know a few things about that in the last year, and even state visits from the French President Emmanuel Macron when he came to the United States in 2018 and 2022. So ladies and gentlemen, please rise as the choir sings the national anthems of France and America. Monsieur Surratt, c'est magnifique. Please be seated. The Society of the Cincinnati was founded in 1783 by the officers of the Continental Army and Navy and their French counterparts. We are America's oldest patriotic and military officer organization. We are also a forward-looking center for education as we work and strive to keep the ideals and achievements alive for the American Revolution. Prior to April 19th of 1775, the people of this world were subjects, be that of a king or a queen, a czar or a czarina, a doge, a lord or a master, whatever they be, we were all subjects. But as of dawn's early light on April 19th of 1775 at Lexington and Concord, the opportunity emerged for us all to become citizens. And that reality today has allowed millions and millions and millions of people all over this earth, not just in America, but worldwide, to enjoy the benefits of freedom, liberty, equality, self-determination derived through natural and civil rights. Those are the very ideals that America and France and their soldiers fought arm in arm and side by side to establish and to perpetuate. As the story of alliances is a feature of this evening, it's very fitting that the Society of Cincinnati is joined tonight by a number of organizations and a number of people that represent some of our very finest alliances, not only for this organization, but actually for the United States of America. It's hard to know where to start, but I probably need to start with the March service, doing a whole variety of leadership roles with them, and prior to that, he's actually a retired Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, as well as a retired officer of the United States Coast Guard. He holds a bachelor's degree from Liberty University and a master's degree from the North Carolina. Our collaborations far and wide. But there's no greater, it's a real pleasure and privilege, it's a joy actually, to have worked with you over the last few years. Thank you, and thank the Washington-Rochambeau Trail for all that you do, not only for applause for Johnny Carawan.
Well, that'll shorten the evening. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to several of you that are here tonight that are very important people, very special to the trail. As I'm just going to start with several of you, and that's Ambassador Billy. Thank you for being here this evening. Becca Bertrand, thank you for being here and representing the Newport Historical Society. Carolyn Monvoisin, thank you for being here and representing the French Embassy in Washington. And Major General Jardine, thank you for being here as well, to be as the attaché to the United States with the vet and his wife Bonnie. Just thank you so much for all your support to the trail. And it's a partnership effort. Who's out here somewhere? Andrew Alton and Bridget Thomas, and there's a countless host of others that are behind the scene. A friend of mine often tells me that Dr. Sarah Sportman with the Connecticut State Library, Dr. Sarah Sportman with the Connecticut State Archaeologist, and we have Christine Pitsley with the Connecticut State Museum from Philadelphia to join us this evening from the Museum of the American Revolution. And Christy, who has helped us out with a lot of our graphics for the trail. It's great to see you here, and just you've done so much to help us. And so without further ado, it's one thing, and as the trail administrator, largest coordinated military march and maneuver of the American Revolution. Just a note, you had English language and you had French language. How they did it is amazing. And the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776, but it was solidified through the courage and sacrifice of American alliance and secured through the decisive victory at Yorktown. That is why the trail stands at the very heart of America 250. Tonight is a celebration. It would not be possible without partnership and support of many of you. And again, I want to express my sincere appreciation. And for look ahead, I'm thrilled to share that we are kicking off America 250 activities with our Postcards Along the Trail campaign and a new family-friendly promotion titled the All-American Road Trip. We will be encouraging the public to explore the trail, dive into our nation's founding stories, and experience history in ways that are adventurous, educational, and fun for all ages. Finally, I want to thank two members of my team, Jacqueline Raper and Peter Wong. So, Jackie has worked tirelessly to update our website and enhance the public access to the trail. And Peter Wong has been on special assignment to us from Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island. And he's helped to play a critical role in getting our Junior Ranger program up and running so that we can connect with youth and also additional educational programs. And to all of you here tonight, thank you for joining us. And thank you for honoring Rochambeau, the trail, and this extraordinary alliance. We are just getting started, and the journey ahead will be as meaningful as the path behind us. And I'll proceed to our awards part. If Isadora and Juliana and Jackson. At this time, we are honored to pause in celebration to recognize several individuals of organizations who contribute and have been instrumental in bringing the Rochambeau 300th commemoration to life. The Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route National Historic Trail is not just preserved through maps and markers. It is kept alive through dedication, creativity, and tireless effort of partners, historians, educators, volunteers, and visionaries who helped share a deep commitment to telling the story. Tonight, we are proud to present awards that reflect commitment, honoring excellence in historical preservation, education, public commitment, and partnership. Each recipient has played a vital role in helping us honor General Rochambeau and commemorate the Franco-American Alliance and set the stage for America 250. Please join me as we begin our awards presentation in recognizing these outstanding contributions and the shared mission of this unforgettable milestone. This honor is bestowed with gratitude and reverence, presented by the National Park Service on July 1st, 2045, in recognition of your support to the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route National Historic.
Major General, I have to share that honor with all the troops here present.
I've had the pleasure of getting to know Wisdom. You come on up. Thank you so much for extending the spirit of the Franco-American Alliance. We think it's the most fitting, and Chuck, if you want to come up with me as well.
I thought this was a Lafayette.
And Becca, if you can come up as well. We take pleasure in honoring you as an honorary brigadier general in the Continental Army, and just thank you so much for all you're doing to help support the Franco-American Alliance, bring America 250 to life and more, and thank you for all that you've done for the Lafayette's return to really elevate this to the American public and also the public in France. So thank you so much. This time I'd like to ask Stacia and Andy to come up. We'd like to recognize you in deep appreciation for your significant contributions to the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route National Historic Trail. And we'd like to present you with a little something to you. Last, I'd like to recognize Peter Long, who's going to be leaving us to head back to the Statue of Liberty here soon. Peter has been with us as a supervisory park ranger from Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and we didn't want you to leave without saying thank you. So thank you so much. Again, you all to this historic occasion commemorating the 300th anniversary of the birth of Comte de Rochambeau, a hero of the American Revolution and a symbol of enduring alliance between France and the United States. As we reflect on General Rochambeau's legacy and the critical role he played in securing American independence, it is only fitting that we are joined this evening by one of France's most distinguished diplomats, the Honorable Laurent Bili, Ambassador of France to the United States. Ambassador Bili has served in his nation with distinction in key diplomatic posts around the world, and since his arrival in Washington, he has been a tireless advocate for Franco-American friendship, cultural exchange, and historical commemoration. His presence here tonight speaks not only to the depth of our shared history, but also to the strength of our ongoing partnership, one that was forged on the battlefields of Yorktown and continues to thrive today. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ambassador Laurent Bili.
So it's an honor for me, as a Brigadier General, to be speaking to you at the stunning Anderson House. Always a pleasure to be here when we celebrate Rochambeau's 300th birthday. I would like, of course, to thank the Society of the Cincinnati for kindly agreeing to host us today, the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route, and in particular National Historic Trail Administrator Jan Carawan. You did a great job. And to put together this wonderful gathering. This year we have had many opportunities to celebrate the man, the myth, the Marquis de Lafayette, and for good reason. But in many ways, the Comte de Rochambeau is a perfect complementary figure to commemorate. In Rochambeau, we find a man who was every bit as humble as he was qualified. With 4 decades of far-ranging battlefield experience to his name, Rochambeau was a veteran army leader, and although he had far more military experience than the Marquis, he wasn't interested in influencing American politics. As the leader of France's special expedition to North America, Rochambeau commanded some 6,000 troops, more than 3,000 miles from home, landing in Newport in July 11, 1780, where they proceed to flip the revolution's balance of power. Yet, while Rochambeau's support of the Continental Army was steadfast and his expertise undeniable, he never sought to impose his views, and when he was suggested that Washington wait until land and naval superiority has been achieved to take action, he earned the general's trust. The mutual respect they built then led to their decisive victory over the British in Yorktown. I will leave it here because we have a distinguished speaker, I should say last-minute speaker, but I'm sure that you will feel the shoes. Well, for the one who don't know, I received a message when I was on my way that Iris de Rode, who was supposed to speak, had an issue with a plane, and she asked Rebecca Bertrand, by the way, it's my grandmother's name, to be speaking tonight. So, thank you for your attention, and have a wonderful evening.
d'été que l'on a dansé. Cette valse du soir d'été que l'on s'est aimé.
Thank you for the choir of the French Embassy. We are so grateful. Monsieur Charette, you brought our beautiful 1905 Steinway piano right to life. Thank you very much, sir. What a pleasure. I know that General Rochambeau is looking down with smiles on his face as well. You heard a little bit of reference to a change in our plan of sorts, and so let me just clarify that a bit. Among the people that we had hoped to have on our program tonight was a very great friend and also a great scholar that we admire, a lady named Dr. Iris DeRode. Many of you know Iris. And she had really been looking forward to this for many, many months. Unfortunately, sometimes the best laid plans don't always work out. And Iris thought that she could actually almost combine two things at one time. She thought she could go to France and celebrate General Rochambeau's birthday there at Verdun. And then she thought she'd make it back to Washington in time to celebrate the same thing here. Unfortunately, the airlines had a different plan in mind. And so there was a last-minute change in Iris's flight with complications there that has prevented her from getting back to the United States in time for this event. So we're very sorry about that, but we know Iris will be ready to raise a glass with all of us to General Rochambeau anytime the next time that you see her. As at least in my case, a very poor substitute, she's asked me to give a little bit of snippet of some of the things that she wanted to say as well, and then we have an even far better substitute in the form of Becca Bertrand from the Newport Historical Society to share some experiences because she actually was just recently at Verdun. So I'll just take a moment or two to give you a little introduction to the things that Iris would have liked to convey to you tonight, because I think she wanted you to have a sense of who was this man whose statue every day and every night peers over right into the White House grounds. And what did Rochambeau bring to America? And maybe as importantly, what did Rochambeau take back to France? Jean-Baptiste, the future Comte de Rochambeau, was born in 1725 in Verdun. He was part of a very noble military family, but not a particularly family of great wealth. His older brother was going to serve in the army, so at that moment, as a second son, his destiny was a career in the clergy. However, tragically, his older brother dies, and so beginning in 1742, Rochambeau's life takes a dramatic change, and he enters military service, and very quickly actually saw action in the War of Australian Succession, where he gained a great reputation at an early age for bravery, for skill in reconnaissance, and maybe more importantly than anything, a deep compassion for his fellow soldiers. Those early traits eventually took root and led the beginnings of what would be a great man, a military man, a fine leader, a fine administrator, and a brilliant strategist. But despite his talents, he did have one small particular obstacle that was typical of military service in many countries at the time, certainly in his own country of France, and that was he lacked not only great family wealth, but no great connections with the court. Many high-ranking officers, as most of us know at the time, literally sort of bought their way into their promotions. That wasn't uncommon in many nations. And so his rise came through merit, through hard work, and through a great native instinct for collaboration. During the 7 Years' War, Rochambeau distinguished himself, and he earned several command posts at regiments and proved very adept at everything from small unit tactics to managing skirmishes to helping with large field, distinguished disciplined field leadership. And so while France lost the war, his star continued to rise. And although that frustration never quite let go of him at that age, because he really knew that he really had to work hard, and he saw an opportunity for reform to occur in the French army. Now, one of the things that Iris de Rode knows very well, and many other scholars do too, is that the site of Cincinnati has an amazing library, one of the great places in the world to study the American Revolution and the art of war in the latter part of the 18th century. The entire basement of what's underneath of here is where this great library with over 50,000 items is. And one of the things that you would learn from that is how important the art of war was changing in the latter part of the 18th century. And a man with Rochambeau's talents was the kind of person that helped make that change possible. He advocated for great modernization in the French army. He wanted to see lighter, more mobile troops movements. He wanted to see more fast-moving columns. He wanted to see better training. Things that we might call early doctrines in the sense of flexible warfare, something that certainly came in handy a few years later with the American Revolution. He also believed that talent and not title should determine leadership. Fortunately, Kings Louis XV and XVI recognized the wisdom, and they listened to what he was saying. And so his ideas did a lot to help shape reform in the French military advances that made France even a greater and greater army in the years following the 7 Years' War defeat. What did Rochambeau bring to America? Well, Louis XVI needed someone with enormous talent and special talents to be able to lead the American expedition that he was assigning to come to America in 1780. That was a mission that had to succeed both militarily and diplomatically from the eyes of Louis XVI. And he chose Rochambeau to be that man. And it proved to be an incredibly wise choice, because Rochambeau not only brought military skill and a willing sense of patience and discretion, but even more, he brought with him a sense of humility. Earlier French commanders hadn't always shared that, as many other commanders and others, and they had a great struggle early on working with the American troops. In fact, sometimes they dismissed the American troops as being a disorganized set of amateurs. And they might have actually been onto something there, to tell you the truth. But Rochambeau came to us with a great and very different approach. He showed a respect for America's leaders, their cause, and he believed in the alliance that was in its nascent state of formation. And in General Washington, he grew to found a kindred spirit, a man who's understood that patience, coordination, and mutual respect were more valuable in many ways than reckless ambition. Rochambeau and Washington grew to trust one another deeply. They shared a belief in reasoned decision-making and a determination to be careful with their soldiers, to not, for example, risk lives, waste lives, taking on a cause of recapturing New York when there were actually more important things to do down south in this little town of York that General Cornwallis thought was going to be his place for redemption. Together, with the help of Rochambeau's longtime friend, the Marquis de Chastellux, and their combined staffs, what was orchestrated became one of the most brilliant examples of siege warfare, coalition warfare, that all of the 18th century. And when the opportunity arose, they moved swiftly down to Yorktown and, of course, took great advantage of what we now know to be the Washington-Rochambeau Trail. Rochambeau was a veteran of no less than 14 different sieges in Europe, so he knew a good thing about what he was getting into. He knew a good bit about that. And Washington, for his part, showed an enormous amount of remarkable leadership in his openness and his willingness to listen, to take advice, and to be adapt to change. That ended up being a triumph in the form of collaboration. And the success at Yorktown was as much a result of Rochambeau's leadership skills and expertise as anything else. So what did Rochambeau take back to France? He returned in 1782 to well-deserved praise and honors. He helped establish the French branch of the Society of Cincinnati soon thereafter. It was actually the founding meetings occurred in his home in central Paris. But beyond medals, accolades, and adulation, Rochambeau brought back to France a new set of convictions, shaped by what he'd seen in America: the power of citizen soldiers, leadership based on merit, and a political experiment that was rooted in shared ideals rather than inherited privilege. When the French Revolution began, Rochambeau supported reform and modernization that was coming with that. He actually served in the original Second Assembly of Notables and was called upon to lead the Army of the North during the Revolution's very earliest campaigns. But political interference undermined his command, and he refused to compromise his principles, and he resigned, decided to take a seat on the side of the stage. And despite remaining politically neutral, later, during the terror, he was actually imprisoned and came probably within inches of being executed. Thankfully, he survived, unlike some of his great colleagues in the American Revolution who served arm in arm and side by side with our American compatriots and leaders. And even Napoleon later on rewarded him with the Légion d'honneur. Rochambeau died in 1807 as a Marshal of France, having written his memoirs. And we're very proud to tell you that one of the original copies of his personal memoirs, one of the original handwritten copies, resides in this library, given to us, not to the Library of Congress, not to the Sorbonne or many other worthy sources that it could have gone to, but to the Society of Cincinnati, his family destined that that original copy be here, a copy which Ambassador Bili and General Jardin themselves have seen. Today, we honor not just a general, but a man of conscience, of compromise, and of character. Rochambeau's legacy reminds us that alliances depend not only on strategy, but on people. People who understand empathy, humility, and earned trust. His collaboration with George Washington wasn't inevitable, and it certainly wasn't always easy. It was built day by day through listening, through compromise, and through shared leadership. General Rochambeau was a man who helped forge one of the most consequential alliances in world history, the 200-year friendship that exists between France and the United States of America. And let us reflect, too, on how we commemorate him, not only through statues that bear his likeness, paintings that record his deeds, and the Washington-Rochambeau Trail that traces a transatlantic partnership rooted in Enlightenment ideals. Let me close by saying this: Vive Rochambeau, happy 300th birthday, Monsieur Marshal, vive la France. Thank you. And thank you, Irish de Rode. Last but by no means least, we have another wonderful partner to introduce to you, or get another better introduction, because Rebecca Bertrand is the Executive Director of the Newport Historical Society, a position she's held since 2023. In her role, she oversees a broad range of initiatives all throughout Newport that touches on Newport County's very, very rich heritage and history, not the least of which is the stewardship of some of Newport's most historic buildings, including the Colony House, the oldest remaining state house in America. She also sees over the curation and maintenance of a robust collection of over 500 years worth of documents, artifacts, items, photographs even, and public mementos of programs that have gone on in Newport to commemorate America's history for a long, long time. Prior to Newport Historical, Becca had great executive leadership experience at Newport Film, a nonprofit documentary film services in Newport, where she ended up being their executive director. She was also the executive director of the New York Yacht Club Foundation for Historic Preservation, and prior to that, the director of development for the Newport Museum of Art. She has deep roots in the Newport region, as she's a graduate of their very proud Salve Regina University with a degree in cultural history and preservation. So she's really sort of come back and stuck with her roots, although she did leave for a brief time to go to the Winter program, the distinguished program of museum and art culture at the University of Delaware. We've been very honored to work with Rebecca over the last 2 years and look for many, many more years of this to come. And she, too, has a great story to tell about her most recent visit at Vervun. So please join me in welcoming back to Anderson House, Rebecca Bertrand.
Bonsoir. It is a tremendous honor to be with you this evening. What a magnificent tribute we've had so far. Thank you, Ambassador Bili, Johnny Carawan, and Andy Morse for bringing us all together to remember the courage, the talents, and most importantly, the friendship of the Comte de Rochambeau. In the spirit of revolution and the military leaders who forged the Franco-American alliance, my role this evening is as another aide-de-camp for Dr. Iris DeRode. It seems that travel across the Atlantic can be as uncertain now as it was in the 1700s. I just returned last night from Vendôme, France, Rochambeau's birthplace, to take place in ceremonies marking his 300th birthday, and I can personally attest that the admiration for General Rochambeau knows no geographic boundary. The pride that the French, and particularly the people of Vendôme, hold for General Rochambeau is matched only by the pride in this room. Born, as you know, in 1725, the future Comte de Rochambeau was a seasoned and highly respected military leader. Long before he set his feet in the colonies. It was his strategic genius, his unwavering commitment, and his crucial collaboration with General George Washington that ultimately led to the decisive victory at Yorktown, securing American independence. He brought not just his troops, but sober discipline, experience, and a vital sense of unity to the Allied cause. The march to Yorktown started in Newport, but it was the French that made the journey possible. While Rochambeau's footprint was felt across the colonies, his presence was felt most deeply in Newport, Rhode Island, where he lived and worked amongst the colonists for 11 months. He and his troops became an integral part of town life at the time, and their fingerprints are still visible in our culture today. As you may well know, it is during this time in 1780 and 1781 that our little city by the sea that I call home became the strategic headquarters for the French forces, marking the true inception of the Franco-American alliance. And some may say that I live this mission today. By day, I'm the executive director of the Newport Historical Society, and by night, I live in a home that was occupied by the Baron de Villaigny, Rochambeau's second in command. One of our charges at the Newport Historical Society is to preserve and celebrate the enduring presence of the French in Newport and the Franco-American alliance. Through engaging programs, the preservation of significant properties, ongoing research and scholarship, and multi-generational events throughout the year that we share with thousands of people. It is also my distinct privilege to share with you tonight how deeply the people of France, and in particular the community of Vendôme, commemorate the legacy of Rochambeau and the men he commanded in the American Revolution. Each year, our team at the Historical Society celebrate the Franco-American Alliance through our much-beloved French in Newport program. Held annually the second weekend of July in collaboration with the National Park Service Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route National Historic Trail. Thank you for that very long name. The event is not merely a reenactment. It is a meticulously researched and executed immersive experience designed to illuminate a pivotal period in American history. Specifically, this event examines the intricacies of the French occupation of Newport, interactions with colonial Newporters, and the unique transformation that the occupation had both on our colonial port and ultimately on the trajectory of our nation. The French in Newport program transcends a static presentation of history. It actively engages visitors in the complex social, economic, and political dynamics of this alliance. Through the lens of living history, participants gained a nuanced understanding of how our two distinct cultures work together. Newporters, still reeling from the British occupation, and their new French allies navigated cohabitation and collaborated for a common cause. This program's strength lies in its commitment to historical accuracy and experiential learning. Every July, our team works to transport attendees, and last year there were 2,700 of them, to the 1780s in Washington Square, the very heart of colonial Newport. Here, visitors will encounter a diverse cast of living historians portraying not only prominent figures such as, of course, Chuck, the Marquis de Lafayette, and the Comte de Rochambeau, but also everyday citizens and soldiers whose lives were irrevocably linked by this alliance. Audiences witness authentic demonstrations of 18th century trades, from the precise techniques of a silhouette artist who's capturing profiles, to the robust sounds of a fife and drum corps that's echoing through our historic streets. One of the most compelling aspects of our upcoming 2025 program is our dedication to engaging younger audiences. Children will have the opportunity to interact directly with history through hands-on activities, including the chance to get to try on Revolutionary War era clothing from our friends at the American Revolution Institute with their traveling trunks. Young audiences are encouraged at the National Park Service tent to make their own French fleet and take home a wooden boat, putting themselves in the shoes of the 18th century forces. This is a true sensory experience, where attendees can taste colonial bread made by Justin Cherry from George Washington's Mount Vernon with his historic bread oven, and gain insight into the daily sustenance of the time. The smell of fresh pressed cider, the sounds of a fife and drum corps, the feel of a soldier's uniform. We hope that this multi-sensory approach enriches the event's educational impact, leaving a lasting impression on visitors of all ages. This program reflects the true spirit of collaboration and deep dedication to honoring our not-so-distant past with many partners who are here tonight. The French in Newport program exemplifies the power of public history to contextualize and animate the past. It highlights the often overlooked nuances of the Franco-American alliance, demonstrating how cultural exchange, strategic collaboration, and individual stories converged to shape the history, the course of the American Revolution. And it reminds us that those principles can be learned from and applied today. But as lively and engaging as our French in Newport program today is, the city of Newport has had a long history commemorating the French presence in many forms. In the 1920s, an annual military parade called Rochambeau Day, photographed here in 1926, would be held on the second Saturday in July. In 1934, A. Kingsley Macomber commissioned our own version of a Rochambeau statue for the city of Newport. Restored just 6 years ago, this very familiar to many of you Rochambeau statue resides in King Park, which was where the French troops arrived in 1780. The statue and the park are a beloved addition to the local landscape and are now maintained by the city of Newport. Beyond academic studies, public celebrations, and memorials like our French in Newport event, the military parades of the 1920s and the 1930s dedication of the Rochambeau statue were crucial in embedding this narrative into the American consciousness. But these events were far more than mere pageantry. They serve as a strong public affirmation of the vital Franco-American alliance. The parades, which often featured military and civic organizations, visually reinforced the historic presence and contributions of French troops, making an abstract 18th century alliance tangible for contemporary audiences. And now I'll take you to France. Our celebrations here in America proudly tell the story of the Franco-American alliance, yet the depth of Rochambeau's commemoration in France, particularly in his ancestral home, offer a unique and profound perspective on his enduring legacy. Vendôme's devotion to Rochambeau isn't just a matter of historical record. It's woven into the very fabric of the town. You don't have to search to find his legacy. It greets you at every turn. You can stroll through Rochambeau Square, a central plaza that serves as a focal point for civic and academic life, named in honor of the beloved Comte de Rochambeau. And standing proudly within the center of town is that familiar statue, including the one that we have a replica of in Newport and one here in Washington. And these images, they're not mere pieces of art. They're statements of enduring gratitude. This one was first erected in 1900 after there were strained relations between our two countries, and it served as a means to strengthen diplomatic relations. This current statue in Vendôme, photographed here just a few days ago, is a replica of the 1900 version, which was given to Vendôme in 1974 by the Society of the Cincinnati. If you do travel to Vendôme and wander the streets of the medieval town, past Trinity Abbey, an abbey consecrated in 1040 and rebuilt in the High Gothic in the late 13th century, you'll discover even more tributes to Rochambeau, like the streets explicitly named Allée de Yorktown and Cours George Washington and the Parvis de l'Hermione. But these aren't just labels. Their direct daily affirmations of the pivotal battle that united French and American forces, a clear testament to the shared history and the profound impact of that victory. For his 300th birthday celebration, a truly beautiful and intricate commemorative floral display was unveiled. Vibrant blooms were arranged along the Loire to create a likeness of Rochambeau, and as you see here, the French and American flags. And for those who truly wish to walk in the footsteps of history, the Washington-Rochambeau revolutionary route actually begins in Vendôme. And if this sounds like an invitation, that's because it is. I invite you to please come and join us later this month in Newport. Consider this an open invitation to embrace our shared history and explore our beautiful historic city. As I conclude, I hope it is clear that the legacy of General Rochambeau and the Franco-American alliance is not a static chapter in our history, but it is a vibrant, living story. And this story is being felt and heard around the world, from Newport, Rhode Island, to Vendôme, France, to Washington, D.C. And by joining us here tonight, you're joining a global community of people who are deeply committed to keeping this vital narrative alive. It has been my honor to celebrate Rochambeau's legacy at home and abroad, and acknowledge the profound contributions of our French allies, whose presence were instrumental in securing American independence. As the semi-quincentennial approaches, we remember that the American story would not be possible without the courageous support of the French. May we hold the many lessons of the alliance forged by Washington and Rochambeau close, their bravery, their diplomacy, and their steadfast commitment to fighting for a cause bigger than any one person. Merci beaucoup. Bon anniversaire, General Rochambeau.
Becca, thank you so very much for doing all the wonderful things that you do to help keep the French-American alliance and the wonderful story of 250 years of amity to the front and foremost of everybody's mind. And thank you also for taking the right flight back from Paris. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to conclude the program, but I want to also make sure that without any lack of remembrance to thank our members of the choir from the French Embassy here. You all did a magnificent job tonight. Thank you very, very much. For those of you that haven't seen it, there are an opportunity to see our beautiful exhibition that celebrates the beginning year, 1775, of the American Revolution. This is over here to your right. And in our original library here, we have some wonderful objects from our research library down below, and you can visit with our director, Thomas Lannon, who's the head of our research library also. I want to just thank one last time our staff and my colleagues for helping make this possible tonight, particularly to Stacia Smith and Andrew Outen. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you all very, very much. Again, you are free to stay and mingle for a moment or two. We'll have the choir greet us at the end here. And then after that, you are free to stay. But as General Washington would say, this is a free country, and you are also free to go. Ladies and gentlemen.
How it looks as though they
the stars of the show, the Embassy of France's choir. Thank you all very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great to be with you tonight. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup and bonne nuit.